mechanism broke and spun me around, and I crashed into these cabinets.
You haven't seen Roseanne, Bob?
Look,
Bob's going to be reading a book during the podcast.
I'm coming up with
Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations.
The pocket version of the Wealth of Nations.
Don't mind us, Bob. If we get to a good part, you can chime in.
I'm glad. This is a few points I might want to read.
We're going to go see Chappaquiddick today. That, I assume, is will have been a low-budget movie with semi-bankable stars. But it's something that hopefully a lot of conservatives are going to go to this weekend, and it's going to post decent revenue or decent numbers
before it gets pulled.
It's going to make money. Well,
hey, if it's
the way
money
things go in Hollywood these days, towards the end of this month, is it going to be easier to get rid of the Chappaquiddick movie and put another screen for the Avengers movie? Yes, that's obviously going to make them more money. But this weekend, they need to have enough viewers going to that movie to make Byron Allen his money back.
At 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, we're going at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But to show that a conservative movie can make money, maybe you'll only give it a $20 million budget. You won't make a conservative science fiction movie. The next Star Wars won't have Ayn Rand running through its plot lines. But if you show that conservatives will come out for your movies, then you'll have more conservative movies.
Yes, it's a updated way to define the audience the way Limbaugh did for talk radio. Mm-hmm. You know, he showed that there was an audience. He and Levin and others showed that there was an audience of people who wanted competing views. And I think a lot of people are tired of all the schlock and all the obscenity and stuff out there. And that's the basis for a lot of these Christian movies. Mm-hmm. They just don't want, if you're Charles and you have two young daughters, you don't want them seeing a lot of the stuff, which frankly is soft porn or worse. It's on the public airwaves.
Yeah,
and
even the stuff that's supposed
on
to be
television
still has.
Yeah, I mean,
and a lot of this stuff isn't that well written either. I mean, it's
Yeah.
I mean, the jokes on the stuff isn't any good, and you know.
Well, I was going to say, because you mentioned the thing about Archie Bunker saying, "Would you rather, the gun thing? Would you rather him push him out the window or something?"
Would you rather be pushed out a window?
One of the items I noticed in the news was about how. Did you see the number of stabbings in London has gotten so high that the murder rate is on par with New York City?
Yeah.
That's crazy. And so, what's his name? Khan, or who's the
Khan,
mayor or whatever, is trying to, now they're trying to get in like 300 extra police or so. I don't know.
He doesn't even care.
But they took away, they don't have the guns, so
they took away the stop and frisk rule.
It's almost as if people kill people, not objects.
Yeah.
They're actually putting in new restrictions on buying knives.
Yeah.
I mean, all the jokes that we made are actually coming true.
Well, did I send you that thing that there's these women? There are these two women. They have a website. Maybe I sent. I don't know.
I don't see it.
This is a thing. It's a please turn in your knives. And they have a website, and I think you go on it. You pledge, or I don't know what you do on the website, but then there's a place you go. You take your knife. And they're doing a campaign. They have T-shirts. Turn in your knife.
Who the hell is going to turn in a knife?
Well, they say that they're having an effect. I got a
knife on me right now.
Put this up right there.
Okay.
But is that
But that's a thing now.
Is it an amnesty? You turn in your blade, no questions asked?
Well, I don't know. I don't
mean,
think it's an amnesty thing because I guess you can have them. I mean, maybe there's certain knives you can't have. I'm sure.
Well, like, I
but
think
this is just
switchblades
turning
are
your-
illegal here in the United States.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
So the Save a Life, Surrender Your Knife campaign is bringing awareness into the UK to highlight these horrendous crimes, these horrendous knife crimes we've got on our streets. My son was murdered in January. He was stabbed in his heart. I found out about the knife campaign when the police approached me and told me about this amazing sculpture that an artist had been made completely of knives that have been handed in from amnesties or knives that have been used in crime scenes. I know that when people see the sculpture and they hear the song, it will really flag up and highlight what's going on our streets. It will be really impactful, and I really hope it will prevent another knife crime, another fatality, like my son's.
We're making is a giant knife angel used from every knife collected off the streets in the UK, really. So we're trying to create awareness by using every weapon.
Standing 24 feet tall, the knife angel will be covered by around 100,000 blades.
This is not a turn in your switchblade knife.
Right.
It's just turn in your.
People are taking kitchen knives and stabbing people. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you could take anything that they can go through your rib cage can kill
Are
you.
you supposed to turn in your steak knife?
Now, you want to know?
Why do you need a steak knife?
Yeah. Why do you need a steak knife this long?
Because you can.
Why do you
already
need
buy
a lot
this food pre-prepared
pre-done?
and
You don't
frozen,
need a big steak
and you
knife.
Just take a spoon.
I can't possibly
And
see.
How about you can buy meat-based baby food, so why don't we all eat mushed up beef products? If we have to eat beef in general, why do we have to eat meat?
You know, I've been doing Slim Fast, and actually that takes the place of meat.
Yeah, so you don't need a knife.
So we don't need knives.
And you can.
Through
Now,
a
on the
straw.
spoon issue, I hate to bring this up, but you
Turkey
can
hot
sharpen
dogs.
a spoon on the back side
We'll
they
deal
do
with
in
that later.
prison, and so they should turn in their spoons.
And your shivs, yeah, you can make a shiv.
shiv.
Yeah, you can make a
to the
shiv,
rib.
yeah.
Because, and the thing is,
It never stops.
you want to know the converse to this argument? Is the reason that New York is so low is because of Giuliani's stop and frisk. It's just starting to catch up. That's the reason we're in parity with London, is because stop and frisk brought it down to London, so we could use that argument
Quality
too.
of life
They
stuff
haven't
helped out
they haven't come
New
up
York
with that
commercials.
yet, because then they'd have to say, New York's crime has dropped. That's why, and the reason it's dropped because of our boy. But
I guess it's dropped somewhat, but New York crime.
oh, I
still,
know. I'm just saying
low.
it's the thing about it's certain areas where it occurs. It's not like the entire all 5 boroughs you're getting people
but
knifed
I mean,
to
the
death.
average is the average is the average.
Yeah.
So
Well, and Sadiq, he doesn't go to these places. He never met with any of the parents that got stabbed.
the mayor of London.
Yeah.
Well, let's not badmouth him. He's a good man. He's a good.
That's what Theresa May says.
Yeah, of course.
While she cower in the corner.
And the I remember this from back when I was in college. My cafeteria manager we were talking about her parents didn't want her to play with guns when she was a kid, and she said, well, they didn't allow us to play with guns, so we made sticks into guns, and we made water balloons into grenades. People will find a way to do things what they want to do, like the pushing you out the window kind of thing on All in the Family. In London, when they took away the guns and when they keep guns from getting to people, they go to knives and they go to acid. Acid attacks are another big thing in London. So people are going to find a way to harm people if they're going to want to harm people.
It might put this creative idea in your head to, hey, how do I make a bomb? I've seen this on the internet. You know, you put the right chemicals to, you know, whatever it takes. You find a way. I mean, if you want to kill people, if you're angry enough,
you know, and
London has enough problems with terrorism attacks. They've had a number of attacks in their tubes, in the subway system.
See, and that's another issue.
You know?
So you've got all these stabbings that are. I don't know if this is this in part because the influx of illegals
That's
or
not the
immigrants
reason.
or
No way.
what is what?
No
I don't know
possible
what's
way.
I think it's high Muslim population in the country, and the fact that a lot of them want to take over the country and impose Sharia law, Sharia law, institute a separate banking system, and change London and the rest of Europe forever.
Well, the people of London dress offensively, and these poor Muslims come in and have to look at these women in short
the legs
skirts, and
and, yeah.
it's just wrong.
You either believe or you disbelieve.
You know what?
choose to wear this, I choose to wear that.
You and I will
That's
have
why you
to...
look naked on the street.
Do I look naked? Do I really? I don't look naked.
Who are you trying to seduce?
No one's trying to seduce me, and I'm not trying to seduce anyone. You shouldn't judge me how I try not to judge you. You are. You've just said who am I trying to seduce? No one.
I said I am judging.
Well, I don't judge you because I'm above that.
No, it's not wrong.
Excuse me, go and put on some clothes. How you choose to live, how you choose to dress like that, I choose to dress like this. You don't start.
It's okay.
Don't you dare speak to me like that. No, this is my hometown as well.
All right, that's stadium.
No, I'm walking.
Okay.
I am walking. No, I can do what I want.
Okay, you can.
That girl's just. I don't mind. Point away. Point away. Because you're not scaring me. I try my hardest to sympathise with people who are maybe different to me. And it's a tiny minority that play up. Who are you trying to seduce? Go and put some clothes on. You look naked. Oh. Such a shame. You know, Muslim people are in the wrong and they are committing crimes. You know, no one's above the law.
If the law of the land is Islamic, we will respect the law of the land.
What if it's not
If
Islamic?
it's not Islamic, then the law of the land and those who make it can go to hell, quite honestly, because Allah said in the Quran, in chapter 33, verse 1, He said, O Prophet, fear Allah and do not obey the disbelievers and the hypocrites. Is David Cameron a Muslim or a disbeliever? Guys,
I can't speak on Cameron,
so you
obviously.
can't obey him. So he can go to hell, as well as all the other leaders.
Do you think I should go to hell because I'm a non-Muslim?
You're on your way to the hellfire because you're a non-Muslim. All non-Muslims are destined for the hellfire.
Do you really believe that?
Yes, and you will be fueled for the hellfire as well. But the fact is that you have an opportunity to change.
That hurts me to think that you think that of me because you don't really know me and you think I'm destined to hell because I'm non-Muslim.
You said you're not a Muslim, so that's enough for me to know that you're not Muslim.
So,
if you're not Muslim, you're destined for the hellfire unless you change.
You know, London just needs to conform to
well,
Sharia.
and you've heard about these rape gangs in they've been going on for 20 years. These girls been captured, grooming gangs they call them, and the police don't even go out, and this is like 20 years ago.
We need a grooming gang to take care of this up here, but
I'm open to different forms of grooming naturally.
Hang on. I'm being serious.
Well,
do you even know what grooming gangs are?
they put highlights in your hair.
No, sex gangs.
Sex gangs,
I know,
and
I've heard
they
that.
know, but nobody knows about them. And except if you listen to,
Well, I'm sure it's on CNN.
Well, here in
It's
the
not on
United States,
CNN.
you've got the Me Too movement, which someone gives side eye to someone of the opposite sex. That's an offense worthy of firing. But in London, you've got gangs of people
and here's the
committing
thing.
sexual assaults, and that's
London is I look at Scotland Yard and Sherlock Holmes, the great, detectives of the air. They invented detective work. And here they're letting these guys run away with a slap on the wrist. They had a guy.
Yeah, it's a policy issue. It's not a fault of the police. We got a few more.
We got about a minute to go. Okay,
Keep it running.
all right.
Good. The movie's
All right.
actually 10:10.
10:10.
All right. I'm not.
And we have reserved seats.
Okay, fine.
But it's just the teardown time for the
10:10 is when those ridiculous. We don't want to get on that. But I was just saying we don't even know. We never hear about these grooming gangs. There's thousands of girls got raped, and I mean viciously. One guy they had videotapes of it, and these guys they didn't even get.
They've got real problems over there.
It's the problem is the police. They do not go after these guys, and the courts don't convict them.
The problem is their sovereignty as a nation is going away, and they're being taken over by hostile interests,
by
crime and everything else.
It's a political thing,
and yet London is one of the most heavily secured cities as far as cameras and equipment. I mean, it's ironic, but
well, look what happened yesterday in London.
What liberals never want to do is point out something that might be politically incorrect. They'd rather go down and collapse the country than to say, we're being, I mean, that's the worst thing you can accuse.
You got it. The trouble is that London, they date all the way back to they've had common law since like 1066. It goes all the way through, and they don't even apply common law to these guys anymore. Oh, damn it! I'm sorry.
Calling CQ, calling CQ.
That's a ham radio. That's a ham radio.
Come in, please. I've always wanted a ham radio set. And now that I've got one, I'm going to listen in on distress signals and notify the authorities and prevent disasters and noble things like that. Calling CQ, calling CQ. Come in, please.
There was a guy
trying to reply.
Yesterday in Munster, Germany, a guy drove a truck into a crowd of people. Killed three people. He died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The first stuff I saw about it was quick to say, we don't know if this is Islamic. We don't know if this is Islamic terrorism. We're not going to say anything about it. And this morning, when I looked at the article, they found the possibility that he was mentally unstable, which is something to talk about. It's also to talk about why there's a gun available to this guy in a society which supposedly is against guns.
Of the system.
But the narrative is that he may have had ties to some far-right group. They can't find any direct ties, but that now, it's not...
But they're not jumping to conclusions.
When it was potential Muslim terrorism, it was we don't know anything. We can't say anything about that. We can't employ. But now they're trying to imply that there could be far right. Even though this guy may be crazy, maybe a conspiracy theories kooky guy, and he may have gone to websites. But there's nothing about him being a leader or a soldier or something within a far right group. Mm-hmm. But we're starting to report that. And that's what the politics of the whole thing is, willing to overlook certain people doing certain things, but not others. The other place that's happened this week is YouTube, where the woman who was a militant vegan, who was angry that they stopped monetizing her.
She it was just her boyfriend. She went and I heard it on CNN. Mm-hmm. She was dating a guy. She had a problem with him, and she shot him.
But she shot a lot of other people. Did she shoot other people too?
No, Here's the thing. They just started with that right away. She had this, Middle Eastern name, but it was right away they jumped to. She was just going after her boyfriend. Well, it turns out that was not the case at all. Mm-hmm. What you're saying,
she was mad because they had demonetized her stuff, which may or may not be justified. I mean, she put up a lot of angry, graphic videos about animal abuse or alleged animal abuse.
Animal rights activist, vegan, bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. I didn't see her biceps, but I'm not saying she's like
not
Michelle
Muslim.
Obama. But
she has a Muslim name, but she is not herself Muslim. But all those things they were willing to overlook, they wanted to overlook at the time because that didn't fit the narrative.
Yeah, well, they were very afraid that it was the narrative they didn't like. Mm-hmm. So I think they quickly jumped to, she was just going after her boyfriend. Yeah. And then it's like, no, that had nothing to do with it.
No boyfriend in the company.
Sometimes it's
What's
She
that?
apparently had lots of boyfriends because But you know, it's it's amazing. Yeah, they jump to conclusions when it benefits them.
Mm-hmm.
No, and they still don't. Well, I mean, I guess that's a set. They figured it out for the most part. There's still some odd things about it.
It was strange, but it did not fit the narrative, so it went away in a day or two. Just like the Great Mills school shooting in Maryland, after Parkland, a tragedy, someone died, but the shooter himself was taken out by a school security officer. The gunman ultimately killed himself, but they were deterred by an armed school security person, and because it showed the system worked, the system that the Trump administration and the NRA and people like us want worked, that went away.
But wait a minute. I thought the Florida system and the Florida sheriff instructed those guys to hold back.
Right, so that didn't work.
This was in.
This is in the newest one was in Maryland.
Oh, Maryland. So they don't have the "don't attack the criminals" policy.
Right. They have a school resource guy
don't shoot
who
back
had a gun,
against criminals.
Shot the shooter.
But you have to look at the downside. The numbers of crimes reported in Maryland are going to be higher, though, in schools. So that's a bad thing. Mm-hmm. Florida has a sterling record if you look at statistics. Eric Holder doesn't approve of Maryland policy, right?
I'm sure he does not.
He was. He was
well, hopefully he'll run for president. That would be a nice gift.
Thinking about it.
Yeah.
Watch out. They can beat us very easily.
Oh, was it 10
Not
o'clock?
Holder.
10 o'clock.
Yeah, I guess we should.
When he's standing outside.
My dad once said to me, tragedy has a way of defining people. Cripples some people till they curl up into a ball. Oh my God, what have I done?
Well, Mr. Kennedy?
Mr. Kennedy. Dad, see, you're still a man with all the influence.
What the hell happened, Teddy?
It was an accident. I was driving.
A story like this could dominate the headlines for weeks.
Chief, we got a body.
A dead body holds a lot of secrets. Those can be the difference between guilt and innocence. So we need to be in control of them. There's not a lot of senators that are charged with manslaughter that go on to become president.
Or at least our version.
You've been diagnosed with a concussion.
I haven't examined the patient yet.
These theatrics are not going to hold up in a court of law.
Get the hell with you guys! I'm not going to be the one defined by my flaws.
If her family doesn't blame you, why should America?
I want to be a great man. I just don't know who I am. Moses had a temper. Peter betrayed Jesus. I have Chappaquiddick.
Moses had a temper, but he never left a girl at the bottom of the Red Sea.
No interlopers. What are you doing here?
You know,
But
are we going
We said
live?
no Bud Lamb poems.
Give us the historical.
I'll give you the historical reference. This is my roommate and I wrote this years ago, and maybe 15, 20 years ago. And it goes along the line, David Frisk, that's correct. It goes along the lines of the sea fever. Remember the poem, The Sea Fever? I must go down to the sea again to the lonely sea and sky. Only this is called Ted's Fever.
We've heard that this was partly plagiarized from Maya Angelou. Is there any truth to that?
No, because this has rhyme and verse in it, and Maya Angelou is just blank verse. But anyway, this is called Ted's Fever.
Okay.
I'm going to read this as Teddy.
This is Poetry Hour. Go ahead. Yes.
I must go down at Chappaquiddick again, under a Chappaquiddick sky, and all I ask is a faster car and a better alibi. I must go down at Chappaquiddick again, if I could find a good place to hide. But I hear that damned call, that telephone call, that I have never denied. I must go down to Chappaquiddick again without ever telling my wife. And all I ask of the New York Times is a nice, convenient cover. and a quiet sleep, a sweet dream when the long trick's over.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
15 years.
Did you write that, or did Ted Sorensen give that to you just before we got here?
Not funny. I don't do poetry. No.
One night we wrote that, so.
Far beyond what Maya Angelou could ever do.
Maya Angelou writes blank verse.
Just one night to do that?
She writes a tree.
Trump is looking for a poet, a national poet.
That's it.
We just saw Chappaquiddick here at the Tyson's Corner Theaters, and quite a shocking movie. Your opinions?
I thought it was excellent. I'll just say, what I had heard was that they didn't show so well that Mary Jo was really alive after the thing happened and she was trying to breathe. That's what I'd heard, but in the movie they did. I thought it was very clear they showed that.
And someone claimed that they didn't give her much of a voice, but I thought, her story, part of the story was
carried through.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't show it a lot, but they did show her in the car trying to breathe, and I thought it was historically accurate.
Well, what's interesting, if you've ever read anything about this, that timeline sticks. When the gentleman finds him out front and he's calling from that phone booth at 2 a.m. in the morning, and when the cops pull him aside and he peels off, and when he crosses the bridge, all these little things fit right in the exact timeline. If you know anything, well, if you've read the books, that timeline fits. So, and they put not too much emotion was thrown into it.
By the way, I have a story for you guys. Our friend Eugene once got me to do some street theater. Called Criminals Against Bork. During the Bork hearings, and who happened out of a Senate building half a block away when I was dressed as an inmate with my little black and white hat, was Senator Ted. And so he approached me, and I waved at him, dressed as a jailbird, and he waved back, and I said, "Senator Ted, Chappaquiddick, way to go." And he turned beet red. He already had a red nose, but he turned beet red and stormed off toward the Capitol.
Oh,
how about that for a
that's great.
Quick. The other Eugene story was when they did the Ted Kennedy swim team.
Yeah.
And was going around Capitol Hill with he and Jim Parmalee were dressed in wetsuits with flippers and the thing. And then we went to the Monocle and asked them to put a sign in their window that said, "We will not serve Ted Kennedy alcohol." And they didn't want to have anything to do with us. And I started the chant, "Shirt, shoes, service. Shirt, shoes, service." They still wouldn't let us in, but we went to there, La Brasserie, someplace probably.
You'd have a 30% drop in profits if they weren't serving him alcohol, though. So,
Exactly.
Yeah. I remember that well. That was great.
What's funny about it is, my mother always recited to me that Teddy somehow swam across this lake.
She remembered that as part of the story.
And it's like, how phony can that possibly be? That you're drunk, you're stoned, that you've dove repeatedly.
And he had a concussion.
And he swims 2 miles across whatever that was.
Across the current.
Yeah.
But the Kennedys are smarter and stronger than regular people.
They are.
The one narrative that you got from the movie was that there's this liberal cabal pushing the Kennedys along, pushing it, that it's more important that Ted Kennedy be there, that the Kennedy family be there to promote their liberal policies than to worry about Ted himself, who was portrayed as being emotionally concerned about this, and he allegedly asked for his resignation letter, but then the other people got to him and said, "No, you have to do this."
Changed his mind.
Yes.
Yeah. Camelot died on the shores of Chappaquiddick. That's what they say.
Don't forget about the Roger Mudd interview when Roger Mudd asked Ted Kennedy why he wanted to be president, and he couldn't answer the question. He was flummoxed by the simplest of questions, and that goes back to what I think the narrative is that there's a bunch of people behind Ted Kennedy saying, "We just need this guy."
Yeah.
And we saw that with Clinton, we saw that with Obama, we saw it with Hillary Clinton, and we'll see it probably with Elizabeth Warren, that they're pushing these candidates, not because they're great people, not because they deserve the office, but that they will usher in the agenda that they need, that they want and need.
Well, and there's a posse behind them pushing, and certainly I think with the current guy, he's done bad stuff, but there's no group pushing him.
Exactly.
It's always been him, really mostly alone, pushing him. So, but the production values I thought in this movie were really high. You know,
Artistically
everything, the
well done,
visuals, artistically. Yeah, it was really well
Like
done.
the really good scene was when what's the guy's name? Was his cousin?
Joey Gargan.
Joey Gargan at the end was it they had that like 2 minutes where he's going to read this thing. Look, you have to follow the moral
historically accurate.
I think he left, didn't he?
He did leave.
You know,
but
and I think they
where did
investigated
that
stuff.
come from?
Well, you
How
see
did that information
The way they
get?
worked in it, you got like 2 seconds, 5 seconds. Here's the cue cards. Read these things. I mean, it was really powerful. That exchange. You know, this is one. This is great cinema. You know, this is. I won't say Casablanca, but that kind of delivery, and it's a serious movie. They don't make serious; they make idiot movies now. But this is a serious, good dialogue, well written script, good characters, and the scenery really was, you know, it depicted. There's no flaws in the scenery.
Now I should point out that in one of the many accounts I've read about this incident, that party was known for being very loud with a lot of drinking. And an ex-Marine who also lived on the island complained about it. And the people at the party said, well, we were very quiet. We had 2 drinks apiece. There was very little alcohol, but they had a whole list of a couple cases of rum, all this beer, etc. But this guy called a couple times to the police to complain about the noise that lived like across the island.
But you saw the cops at the end. All they found were a few Coca-Cola bottles and
that was
stuff.
there.
But that caffeine from that Coke will get you up there and loud.
No doubt about it. At a Kennedy party, there's no drinking, or it's
Jalisco, Jalisco, Jalisco. Tu tienes tu novia, me Guadalajara. Muchacha bonita, la perlas más raja, en todo Jalisco es me Guadalajara. Jalisco, no te rajes, me sala del amor. Cantor, cantalor, abril todo el pecho, echar ese grito, que lindo es Jalisco. Palabra, oh no. Laredo, will you help us out?
At a Kennedy party, there's no drinking, or it's so
Whatsoever.
moderate that it's like a bunch of old ladies playing bridge.
Yeah, well, they're Irish Catholics.
There was the one scene where they kind of revised, they had the revised history where they showed them all sitting there at the table, all being very nice and prompt and discussing high-minded things, as opposed to the original view, which was drinking,
Drunk
dancing,
fest,
Yeah.
a little bit of trying to impress someone into a bedroom.
And I don't think, you know, there's a whole deal that they paid off the Kopechnes too.
Yeah, they didn't go into that.
No, they didn't even allude to that. I mean, they may have just fooled them. I mean, who knows? I don't know.
And they may have said, "Hey, a little something for your loss."
Yeah.
I don't know.
They may not have allowed that to be in there, though, too.
And to put that into
it may
the
be a
movie,
legal thing.
to put that into the movie would cheapen the idea of the movie, because the story that they told was compelling enough in itself.
They were
rather than to put in the affair, to put in a payoff, to put in something that.
Well, and the idea that they fooled
link on.
them was pretty powerful, maybe more so than paying money.
Who was the flunky who was sitting in with the Kopechnes that wouldn't let him visit? Was he a paid Kennedy stooge?
That was the cousin we just talked about.
Was that the cousin?
Joe Gargan.
Yeah. Was that Gargan? And he went over there to hang out. So that's factually correct.
Well, that's what was in the movie.
See, what they're not doing is they're not going off what exactly happened that they can't prove. The dialogue they can't prove, but they can prove events.
Right.
You know, so I assume that's probably pretty.
Well, they wanted to get the body off the island and buried quickly, so there was no autopsy. To show that she drowned, because then they could determine that maybe she had been alive. They could prove it for a long time, and that he was negligent. They knew that, and they knew that they had to control everything. I mean, it was all about Ted
Well,
Kennedy.
what I thought was fascinating was they basically said she didn't drown. She just suffocated because she ran out of air up in that little pocket. You know?
She likely
She
asphyxiated.
sunk down after that, and water got in her. But I didn't even know that fact. That
I didn't know
she
that
just
either.
basically suffocated.
We all know that she
For
was
as long
been
as
there-
10 hours.
She could have been there forever.
Six,
Yeah, they could have saved her over and over and over.
They also, but How did they? She was supposedly pregnant with his child, right? But
Well,
that's just rumor.
That's another rumor.
That's where you get into the speculation.
Okay.
I think they just left that out so that you couldn't criticize the movie.
How would they know there was? I guess someone's word.
There were questions that were asked that you're not supposed to know the answer to. Like, has Teddy asked you? Like, is he gonna get rid of his wife and take up with her? That was the.
Wasn't there a scene at the very end where she said something about those two having a future? What did you hear that?
Yeah,
that's
true.
Almost like it was about marriage or something.
I thought that was about working on another campaign.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, no, it
I don't think so. I think it's a
the
little bit
way it
more.
was asked.
Yeah.
I don't know if that can be proven, but
It can't be proven,
I think,
but you know.
But there's enough. There's
why,
enough.
why did the
anyway.
Chappaquiddick just accept their version of events, though?
That's probably society in
They're
general.
a-
Back then, people are less likely to question authorities.
They're a poor family. They were
Someone
not-
very prestigious. I mean, the Kennedy family. They were proud to be associated with them.
Their
They
daughter
wanted-
had just
I think
been
they
killed.
want.
I mean, why?
I think they wanted to believe, that nothing bad had
And
happened.
it's like it's in the old days. If a girl got let's say sexually abused or raped, you don't want to bring that up.
No.
And then they drag that through, and who knows. So I can see that. Now today you wouldn't. Well, if you're a Republican today you wouldn't. I mean, but the Democrats, they still cover that up. I mean, no matter what.
So would the Me Too movement not be okay with what happened then?
They would be totally fine with it. The Me Too movement would be totally fine with this.
Please.
Mothers Against
no, I
Drunk
agree.
Driving gave him an award
Yeah.
later in his life when he
Did
was
they
the line.
really?
Yeah, when he was lying to
Did
the
they
Senate,
really?
Mothers Against Drunk Driving, I believe, gave him an award.
Out of
probably
five.
good.
Out of five. Out of five.
Out of five?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
giving it 5.
5 out of 5. Yeah.
I think
Artistic-
5 out of 5. Beautifully
five.
done.
Beautifully done. And acted well.
Accuracy.
I mean,
Yeah, they didn't soften it.
They didn't. They didn't. There was stuff they didn't include, and damn it.
Bob, this happens every time we turn on the camera.
All right, that's it.
I'm out.
I walk in the bar and the fellas all cheer. They order me up a whiskey and beer. You ask me why I'm writing this poem. Some call it a tavern, but I call it home. Fuck you, I'm drunk. Fuck you, I'm drunk. Pour my beer down the sink. I've got more in the trunk. Fuck you, I'm drunk. Fuck you, I'm drunk. And I'm going to be drunk till the next time I'm drunk. You've given me an option. You say I must choose between you and the liquor. Then I'll take the booze. I'm jumping on Western down